I was looking at my itinerary for today of things I had to get done, and while doing so, I glanced over my desk. And I thought, well, shucks, that's less tidy than I would like it, which is something I've been struggling with for an extensive period of time, getting it tidied up and then keeping it that way. I remember looking at it and thinking, okay, I'll get around to it. I'll get around to it, which is something I've been telling myself for a while. And then something hit me right in the nose, as it were. I am showing my sons, by my example, that desks are kept cluttered. That one's personal space is kept unorganized and chaotic. Now, I can, and I have been, give an extensive list of reasons varying in their legitimacy that all sound very good to me as to why it's that way, but at the end of the day, that's the example I'm setting for them. And the example I set for them is going to have a strong impact in how their desks and their private space looks when they get older. And if I want to set them up for success, that means that it would become of me to start by doing the hard work to really buckle down and say, okay, I want a clean desk area. If I'm just going to be solid and clean cut about this, that means I've got to make some decisions perhaps as far as books or other things that I like that I will not be keeping. Or if I'm going to keep them, they need to go neatly in storage. And here's what came down to me. It's only a short time for me. I'll get around to it next month, or I'll get around to it in maybe a year or two. Now, that latter is significantly longer time, but it's still relatively short to me in the grand scheme of things. But here's the deal. A short time to me, a month, maybe even a few years as far as the grand scheme of things, that's the whole time for them in terms of their childhood example. If my desk is cluttered from the time that they're 7 to 14, and I have some times here and there where it's nice and clean, to me it seemed like okay, in the span of my whole life, it's only 7 years. But from the time they're 7 to 14, that's from the time they start to become aware of how my desk is kept to a good point in their teenage years. That's the whole time of their impactful childhood observation years of how dad keeps his desk, of how they get the example set to them. And there are so many things like this I'm realizing that to me it's a small time. But for them it's the whole time of their childhood. So when I make a decision, I'm realizing rather than going, it's a small time. It's a small time in the scheme of things. I guess I can afford to do this. I really need to ask, this is the whole time for their childhood. Can I afford to do this? Am I willing to do this for the whole time of their childhood? Not, is it a short time for me?